Hey everybody, and welcome to a Moo episode of Indie Film Cafe's Film Freaks.
And a Moo year.
That's right. Happy Moo year, everybody. So Film Freaks are movies that we love, and this particular movie is one that I've always loved. I don't know if it made, I think it was kind of a bomb when it came out.
It was a bomb.
Because I don't think people quite understood or knew what to do with it, but I loved it. I thought it was a lot of fun. And we are talking about Drop Dead Fred.
Drop Dead Fred.
And you guys saw it, but it's been quite a while, right?
I saw it like 92, 93, whenever it came out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been it. So you said it was a bomb, so it would have fit into Knockbusters just as well.
That's what I was thinking of it for Knockbusters at one point. I think I may still do it at some point with somebody else or whatever, but I felt like this is a Film Freaks as well, so I get it.
Yeah, 25th anniversary edition. I just noticed that's an English rating on there, so.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I know.
Let me see it.
Do we got the right region?
Let's hope so.
Is region 1 or
it is?
I think that might be Canada.
Oh, Canada.
Oh shit! It's region B.
So I don't know if it plays or
No,
not.
it won't play my player. I don't think we could try it.
We'll try it.
Yeah.
Stand by.
If
If not,
shit.
I got plenty other ones.
Okay, we'll be back. Maybe. Probably not.
Or this might end up on the cutting
We've
room
been
floor.
Curly Joe'd.
This will be an extra.
We've been Curly Joe'd.
All right, everybody. See you in a few. Bye.
Bye.
Hello, Snotface! We're back!
God, that was.
How's it go?
Ew! Don't do that to him. Just like you're not Drop Dead Fred.
I
We
should
did
have
watch
been.
it. We watched it though.
Yeah, it was cute. I love that movie. It's a movie that I think a lot of people had no idea how to react to, and critics really didn't know what to do with it, and I don't know. I think certain people it just really hits, and they like it, and then I just think most people they're like, what do we do with this? You know what I mean? It's just one of those movies that just kind of falls through the cracks, and you either really like it or you just can't stand Rick Mayall and this character, and
I can see
it.
that. I can see that.
You keep showing it.
I keep showing him off. He got mutilated in this movie.
One of his
Continuity monkey.
There was
one of his grand relatives.
A much bigger one.
Yeah.
Much bigger one, but he got attacked and.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know. That wasn't continuity monkey, but that was.
Now I heard you laughing, but I didn't hear you laugh so much.
I know.
I didn't laugh. To me, it wasn't as laugh out loud as it was for you guys, but I'm not knocking it because I still enjoyed it.
He still enjoy. You can tell he was enjoying.
Well,
it.
you were definitely enjoying Phoebe Cates, as we all were.
Any red-blooded American male of that time that grew up in the 80s and into the 90s. Yeah, I mean,
she was beautiful. She was glorious.
wonderful.
She really was.
Yeah.
Clearly, she has personality issues. I think that's really what this whole thing is all about, and maybe is a little crazy, but she's very sweet. And sometimes you got to make room for the eccentricities of people, just because. They're a little nuts and they take a little extra work. That's not a bad thing.
Well, everybody had their finger down on her, like in her life. I mean, it's her mom, her husband, Matheson, everybody.
My
Except
take
her dad.
on it. Yeah. My take on it was that Phoebe Cates, with Drop Dead Fred, was crazy, right? Like that was a crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Because he was the one doing everything. She wasn't doing everything. She wasn't causing any trouble.
But the reason he was there was because she had been separated from her childhood self by her mother. Her mother did that. And that all he had to do was to make her happy by letting her finally get to that spot and
Right.
become independent with it and accept that's who she is. And when she does, she finally gets happy. He leaves, and then he goes to the next child who also needs him,
Right.
which was
But
cool.
he couldn't go to the next child before because he was stuck in that little thing, that little box.
Her mom had him trapped in there or whatever, or they put him away and then taped him up in the box.
But my question is, because when she comes, she comes back to the old house, which I thought was very. I like that. I like the fact that
Very Freudian.
Yeah, she came back to her old childhood home, and obviously that brings back memories, that brings back whatever. And she goes in there and she's sleeping, and the little thing that she's trapped in starts moving around and everything. The little music box thing. Why couldn't he have done that before? Like, why did it take her coming back before he did that? Because
well, she didn't open. He didn't get out until she had cut the tape.
She had to
So
cut
I mean,
the tape.
they kept it like it was like a genie in a bottle, sort of bottled up. So.
Yeah. But I would love to have shown this to someone like, say, Jackie, or somebody who has had some experience with psychology, to get their background on this, because I think the movie kind of is about trauma and how it represses you, and that you have to do whatever it is you have to do in order to get past that trauma, which is what happens, and then she's able to finally accept whatever it was in the past and be able to move on from there. And then it's really cool because, once he's let go of her because she doesn't need him anymore and he's gone on to the next child, she can't even see him anymore.
right.
But she understands because the kid said the exact same name.
Right. Well,
that
she knew
was
exactly
great.
who it was, because everybody, all the different, imaginary friends who we meet, all have different names, and even they're like, oh, you're being very namby-pamby, and then she's like, I'm here.
Yeah, and here's Namby Bambi.
And they're like, oh, it's Namby. Like, they're excited because it's their,
My only thing, and the same thing years ago when I first saw it, came to mind at the end. I was like, you kind of get the impression she might be with Mickey, but they don't really spell it out because, and I'm not sure why they do, but she's kind of like the perfect mom for the new little kid because she completely understands what the kid's going through. And I kind of wish that they had sort of made that clear.
Oh, that he was gonna. Well, I mean, he did say sort of like, I hope that I'm part of your life, and she's kind of alluding that, yeah, I'm gonna let you do that. That's at the end, folks. So we're gonna skip to the end. But as I kept saying, I wanted her to be with Mickey, because this guy started to love her for her craziness.
Right.
He accepted her as a kid, and I think the only reason why nothing ever really happened between those two is because Fred kept calling that Mickey a girl.
Well, plus he moved away.
That's right. He did move away for a little bit.
But yeah, didn't Fred have her throw paint on his grandma or something, or something like that?
Sometimes you accept the crazy ones,
and he was okay with that. When he was like, remember the cat. Would remember you borrowed, the razor, and you got the cat, and he was all cool with all of that as a kid because. Especially at 5 years old, you want to cause trouble.
It's a nice message for accepting people for who they are and just kind of rolling with it, because by the end of the movie, she's not going to need to be like that anymore. She's found herself, so she doesn't need the crazy drop dead Fred shit anymore.
No,
well, she needed something because I've only seen it in a few other movies where you hit. I mean, it puts her at the bottom of life at the beginning. I mean, she loses her
She was really a doormat at that point.
Yeah, she lost her car, her purse,
her job.
Her job.
I love how she loses her car though. Like one guy breaks in and steals her purse, so she loses her money, and then the other guy goes, "Hey, wait, free car," and steals her car.
I mean, the only one I can even think of that right off the top of my head it's sort of what happens to Bill Murray being a Stripes. It's
Yeah.
like he loses his car, his job, his girlfriend, and all in the first.
He even
5
says that,
minutes.
like, I
Yeah,
lost my job, my
At least I have my health.
girl, and at least you have your health is the one line.
Yeah.
And and then she loses her job because I guess she's late to the court thing.
She's a court reporter
but like,
or something.
And she explains to him what happened, and he's like, all on your lunch break. Like, she didn't believe it or something.
Well,
It
it is a pretty tall tale, but
it happened.
I mean, is she gonna lie? No, she's not gonna lie.
How did she even get in if she didn't have her wallet?
Well, this is 92, 91, so maybe they didn't ID.
They didn't ID when they went into a court?
Or they knew who she was all the time.
Yeah, they probably knew who she was.
Yeah, because she's a court reporter, but still.
It's one of those things we don't want to think too deeply on.
I know. I'm just saying, like, it would be hard to even get in if you...
These days, certainly.
There's some movies or times, like, if that happened nowadays or something like that. But I think some of that, too, is what's frame of mind do we watch this movie in? If we watch it in a kid's mind or watch it as I wonder how kids would take to this. I mean,
I love it. Some of them, like me, if I saw this when I was a kid versus when I saw it as an adult, I still would have loved it.
I mean, I was, this was 91, 92.
91.
91.
Yeah, so I was 18, 19 at the time when it came out. And I saw it when it first came to video.
I was 9. This would have been a thing for me, but I don't think I watched it because, like, originally as a kid because it was too PG-13.
Well, let me tell you, I remember when this came out, and the vast majority of the critics at the time were saying, this is kind of a fun film, but Rick Mayall is crazy, and we can't get over the fact that he's out of his mind, and it's not fun. It ruins the movie.
Well, that's just they don't understand the British type of character too. Some people don't. I mean, and I have some history knowing his work.
I get he's way over the top, but to me, that just kind of, I mean, if you're going to have a crazy imaginary friend, you might as well go all the way.
Well, yeah, and I think the other issue, and this is what I talked about while we were watching, is the cursing. There's too much cursing in this movie. Plus, we saw nudity.
If it's going to be a kids' movie, yes.
Yes, and it should have been a kids' movie. I think it should have been.
I like the way it is because it's not about the kid; it's about the kid in the adult.
And the nudity was a male butt, and it was done in a joking way.
Yeah.
So I mean, there was no sexual nature there.
No. So even though I hear what you're saying, but the movie is addressing the child that's in the adult. So I think this is really more of an adult movie.
Right, but the problem is that you can't market an adult child comedy. Like there's
Big it's the closest thing.
What?
Big.
Well, Big worked.
But that was a very saccharine film. That's the only reason why because they're roughly around the same period. I liked Big, but I didn't like it nearly as much as I liked this one because it was way too saccharine for me. This one was not saccharine at all. There was sweetness to it, but there was also a lot of crazy shit there too,
right?
And wackiness, and that was more my style.
I saw some. There was a movie that came out a year or two before that just kind of. I saw some like problem child type of stuff going on a little bit. I saw. With the way they did the animation, the special effects stuff, I saw a little. They even had to me a little. I was thinking Beetlejuice a little bit.
Yeah.
I would say that.
Because so it's like I think they maybe got their inspiration from there. I don't know if there was a source material that predates all this.
It did seem kind of Tim Burton-y. Like Tim Burton would have had fun with this.
I would love to hear what Tim Burton had to say about this.
Like this would have been something like I think.
Because when the ground opened, when it opened up and that thing
the
came
tree,
out,
it had
that felt very Burton-esque.
I also mentioned before Nightmare on Elm Street, and had very much the dream life stuff.
You even pointed out the sweater, the girl.
Yeah, she wore like a black and red sweater, and it looked kind of like a Freddy Krueger sweater, but it wasn't very stripy. It just was.
Freddy and Drop Dead Fred would have gotten along.
Drop Dead Freddy.
Fred.
Like if Fred had Freddy Krueger had made an appearance, that would have been awesome.
Been
like
funny.
as one of the imaginary friends.
She's like that. That's what Drop Dead Fred grows up into becoming.
Oh no! Then he would be a child molester or something.
Well, or killer.
But I mean, I like when movies go into these alternate. Seeing realities and stuff like that. Another one that came to mind. This is totally different, but it's like when John Ritter got stuck in Stay Tuned in TVs, where he was alternate realities and stuff like that.
But you mentioned it was a lot of physical comedy, and Phoebe Cates had to do it all.
Yeah, and that's
great.
That's not something that I'm used to seeing from a lot of her other films. I mean,
No.
I mean, she had a few physical parts in like Gremlins, but it was nothing to this. I mean, she was doing physical humor, like comedian type of stuff.
Great.
She was doing like Jim Carrey-esque type of stuff, and
Well, I'm doing it better than Jim Carrey.
Oh, yeah,
I mean, honestly, it felt kind of like The Mask.
I would say maybe not better in a comedic sense, but obviously a lot better to look at.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
There's no doubt about
But
that.
the thing
But it was
is,
very
is I
surprising.
can't stand it when Jim Carrey does it, but when Phoebe Cates does it,
Well, it was surprising
Right.
that she did this, because it's like, I mean, I wasn't I didn't remember her doing something like this. So it's like it was nice. It's nice to see somebody doing something well outside of their normal.
Right.
I don't know really what is considered normal for Phoebe Cates.
She's usually just a hot chick.
Yeah,
You know,
usually.
or the girlfriend. Like in Gremlin, she was just the girlfriend there.
Right.
You know, she didn't really have.
she's there to be pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was ensemble in Fast Times, and then I mean private schools is the same type of thing. But
What about
This is different. This is a
Yeah.
complex character.
there was a song by Phoenix, Texas. It's a band. It's a punk band. It was called Phoebe Cates, or it's called Phoebe or something like that. But it was like, all I really need is someone like Phoebe, someone to fulfill my fantasies, you know. And at the end of it, they start mentioning like all the stuff they like, you know, hanging out at Fast Times, showing all the bright lights, you know. When I'm with you, it's like paradise, you know. When
I think that wasn't that the name of the movie she did, the first one.
Yeah.
The first one she
Paradise?
did. Yeah, I think it was Paradise, where she was stranded on an island.
Well, that's what, you know, like that was
That one.
obviously all the different movies.
But nothing
and
about
stuff.
Drop Dead Fred, huh?
No, sadly, Drop Dead Fred
Didn't
did
work
not
that
get.
no Princess Caribou references either.
I know. I think they were talking about all the ones she was like hot, and she was the, you know, not the one where she actually showed off her fucking acting chops, like this movie.
Yeah,
She really showed off her acting chops in this movie, which I feel like. I think the fact that it bombed sucks for her, because
Absolutely.
that probably didn't give the Hollywood much chance to like say, okay, we'll give her, you know, another movie, you know.
Well, she got the one more, but then that one did really like only a couple.
Which one was that?
Princess Caribou.
Princess
Okay.
Caribou.
Yeah. But this one, I think it said on the IMDb, it cost like $6 to make, and it made like 13 or something like that. So so that's not awful.
That's not.
Well,
I mean,
but that was back in the day when a run would take like 4 to 6 months.
Yeah.
Unlike nowadays where it's 4 to 6 days.
Wait,
and
so
that's
it was shot for 6 and
I thought that's what it said. The
and
budget.
13, because that means that it doubled its budget.
Yeah, I thought that's what it
Which-
said.
I mean, whoa.
Whoa.
That went away.
Drop
quick.
Dead Fred.
Drop Dead Fred's fucking with us right now.
Yeah.
Jesus.
It took the 2 away. Huh?
Again,
Again.
it just doesn't like that too.
Estimated budget
Sorry.
6.8 million, and gross U.S. and Canada was 13.8.
Mhm.
So it doubled its estimated budget, but then all the other secondary
Well,
stuff.
yeah, I mean,
all
and
the
I don't know how much of that
advertising
is like how they used to
production
do
or
it.
I just remember critics did not really like it, and a lot of it was.
What's the Rotten Tomatoes score?
what-
That's what I want to know.
What do we do with this? What is this? Is this a comedy? Is it a romance? What is this?
The Metascore is only 25, so that the critics didn't. That's 19. IMDb critics, so who knows what that.
What did IMDb critics say?
It
What?
was only 25 out of Metascore of 19 critics. It's a 6.0.
6.0 is not bad, but it's not good.
Yeah.
You know,
It's
but
above bad.
it's seven is what you sort of want in that that thing, because all the movies that are really good are usually about 7, because
There are a few lag points in there where you're kind of like, going between craziness, and you're kind of like waiting for the next craziness to happen, and you got to wait a couple minutes.
Well,
There's
I like
a few
that.
of those.
I don't mind that. Because it gets me a chance to like be with her for a little bit, and I liked she. Okay, so somebody had described stuff as like, say, and they used a world. Say you're in a world, and you take the person out of the world, right? Mm-hmm. But you still, could you watch this without that crazy world behind them, right? Because you still watch a movie with no Fred in it, with her, with that character, with that girl character. And I would say yes. Even without Fred, Phoebe Cates was interesting enough just by herself.
She would have to have something that drove her character.
Because, at the beginning she was sort of mousy and sort of...
there'd have to be something to instigate change in her. I mean, the events would necessitate change, but how would she go about it without being force prodded it by?
So did you find something in there because you looked like
I laughed because I was looking to see what maybe some of the major critics at the time, and I just saw Owen Gleiberman had a nice 0 on it, and he was like potty mouth British actor and stuff like that. So I was like, and he said something about Beetlejuicy or something like that, and I was just like,
this is back in the day where I remember the main criticism of Road to Wellville was like, oh, they said too many bad words. I mean, come on, really? Yeah. That's your criticism? That's just
I think
that's bullshit.
That's crap. Like the little kid said, that's a pile of bullshit.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the problem this movie probably had at its time was, and even if it got released now, is it I mean, it's true to what it is, and that's great. I mean, that's what it needs to be. That's what any movie should be.
It's like an anti-Disney movie.
Yeah, it's there you go.
Yeah.
But it's like what how studio, how do you market this? How do you release this? What audience are you seeking out? I mean, it's being made because somebody had a vision,
and it's probably at the wrong place. This was I don't know who financed
I think it said Polygram was the one who released it.
Yeah, this is probably a more of an indie film that somehow got studio backing.
Polygram had some. If it truly was all
who wrote it?
Polygram. I forget.
Polygram had some other movies in the mid '90s, but
we didn't know who the director was. I've seen his name somewhere, but I think only on like this movie or so.
Yeah, we'll butcher the name. The Ate de Jong.
Ate de Jong. Yeah.
Ate de Jong.
Yeah. Born in Zeeland, Netherlands.
Nice.
Yeah, he's Dutch.
Yeah, Rotterdam, Bombing, Deadly Virtues, Love, Honor, Obey, and Drop Dead Fred.
Yeah, I've never heard of any of the other ones other than Drop Dead Fred.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, that's it. So that was the director. Writer, okay, somebody has a story. The story credit was Elizabeth Livingston, and the written by was Carlos Davis and Anthony Fingleton. So,
I don't know those people, but I have a theory. Like I think you're right, Paul. I think this was somebody's indie project that they just got lucky enough to pitch to a studio. The studio at that time, because the '90s was a weird time for like film.
Phoebe Cates, and then remember Rick Mayall was also kind of like he was coming off The Young Ones, and he did a few other things, so he was kind of a hot property.
Thank God they didn't get Yahoo Serious.
Oh God, yeah.
I thought about that, and he was probably a fall away from that.
He's
Pauly
a
Shore
fake
times. That Curly Joe.
He's a Curly Joe.
I think he had the hits from the Young Ones, and I mean I remember the Young Ones because it came on like Sunday nights on MTV or something like that.
That was the best.
That's
thing
how I saw it, and it was just like, oh,
okay. Yeah, no, he hates MTV.
I know.
Are you making fun of Cliff Richard, Neil?
I mean, I liked MTV for the. I mean, was that what they say? It's like the station's 40 years old. They've been playing. They play music for a good 10, 15 years.
Yeah,
if that. Yeah. So, but. I remember him from that. So
yeah, I mean, he was quite good in that.
But his type of comedy is very limited over in the States because it's just not.
Well,
it's not the force-fed
It's
humor.
a combination of physical comedy plus being loud and obnoxious. And, I just dig that. I think it's funny. And you were right. You were like, this is your kind of movie, isn't it? I'm like, hell yeah, that's my kind of character who pesters the living shit out of the normals.
But
that's what I love.
But you, like you just said before, this is anti-Disney. That's your thing, is anti-Disney. If this is, Disney would not want to touch this with a 10-foot pole. Who put it out though? You said Polygram.
I think it was Polygram at the end. I don't have the box.
But
here,
I don't. I'll get the box.
But I think it said Polygram at the end and all. But yeah, I mean, according to the Mojo, it made $13.8 million. It made $77 internationally. That's the
like I said, this movie would have been so difficult to market. That's the thing.
Yeah, it came out. It was a Memorial Day release in '91. So I don't know. It's just this just doesn't seem like it would be.
I saw it in the theater, and I must have. If I didn't see it opening night, I saw it pretty darn close to opening night because at that time, I'd have seen anything with Phoebe Cates in it.
So it was done by Universal, and put it out, but Polygram, I think, was a part of Universal. So they had Polygram.
Yeah. So this probably should have been more of a United Artist, or God, I hate to say it, but a Weinstein kind of a project.
Yeah, Miramax back then. They would have probably had a fun field trip with. Actually, maybe, because I think Harvey Weinstein he's a terrible human being. I will admit, I'm not saying anything nice about him, but I'm saying he probably would have liked people fucking with people on stuff.
Especially from the anti-Disney point of view. He would have liked that. The
problem is, when did Miramax buy Disney? Wasn't that later?
That was later.
Or later, Disney bought Miramax.
I was like,
exact opposite.
Yeah,
Sorry.
that was later.
That was later. So Disney bought Miramax, I think, later. So this would have been an early time of period where they would have had fun with this and said this would be,
This, let me tell you, it took a while because I'd been looking for Drop Dead Fred for quite some time.
Obviously so, if you found a region B.
And it still, I don't think, has come out in America as far as, an American release for the Blu-ray yet.
You didn't get this from that guy, did you? Did you get this from...
No, I got that on Amazon.
Because you did buy a copy of it on DVD or something from the bootlegger guy that we knew.
Well, according to Mojo, it says New Line Cinema, so maybe New Line put it out in the theaters or something. But in any case, it didn't.
They may have distributed it.
Yeah, I was just looking to see.
That would make sense with the Freddy stuff. You know.
Yeah. So when it came out in the theaters, it was just. It came out same time as Backdraft, and What About Bob? So What About Bob was the comedy of the moment.
But we talked about Phoebe Cates. We've talked about Rick Mayall, but we haven't talked about fucking Carrie Fisher
and Marsha Mason.
They were both
great.
You cracked up on the intro when they had it in the credits. The credits were great, by the way. The
I know. That was great.
But when they had Carrie Fisher's name pop up, it was a fisherman pulling up the
fisherman.
fish.
Yeah, so it's somebody fishing.
You got cracked up.
I was like, that's funny because you never see stuff like that where they poke fun at the cast, in the credits.
Well, yeah, because it even said it said written by, and it was written and said BYE.
Well,
in photography,
and I got that because it was
the kid.
It was kind of childlike, So I understood that from the very beginning. I was
mischievous child.
Yeah,
that was funny.
Yeah, it was funny, and then she was the and it kind of made sense with the fisherman because later she had that boat that sank and everything like that.
Man, was she a good friend? She was a hell of a wingman.
Dude, she was the best.
She
was.
My
God,
my goodness.
Most people would freak the fuck out.
You sank my houseboat.
You sunk my houseboat, and then said you blamed your Imagineer, and she went with it too.
That was a great scene.
She grabs she goes, "Excuse me for a second, I'm just taking this."
She's like, "Do I got him? Do I got him?" She's beating the hell out of him.
Nothing in front of everybody.
And then she slips because she completely loses it. She slips about having an affair with the guy, or the guy having an affair with her.
Yeah, which I think made her get fired, probably.
Yeah.
But it all worked out for her because turned out she got a big fat insurance check.
But how did she get a insurance check on a boat that the girl sank?
Because it wasn't her fault. It was somebody else's fault.
Good God!
See, Drop Dead Fred's not.
Fred's not happy with my.
We're down to 5
analysis
now.
of it. We're just down to. Oh my God! By the end of it, I wouldn't be surprised by the end of it.
Isn't it how the movie started when he reached from behind the pillow and was like. One of these things will smack us in the head.
He's knocking all these things off, man. He's not happy.
And shout out to Marsha Mason. She was really, really good as the uptight mom, the
mom.
mega bitch.
Stay off the carpet. She was.
You knew that white carpet was going to was in for it.
I know that, and once she said don't go on the carpet, you're like, oh shit, something bad's gonna happen.
I found some dog poo.
I know, and then he's just. Every little thing he tried to break things, and she loved breaking things because at one point she said she loved the sound, right? Like she loved the sound of breaking stuff. So it was just
my only other question about it, and the only other part that I wished had been sussed out a little bit more, was the father. Clearly, the father was on her side.
Yes.
And when he left. she was kind of left alone with the mother, who clearly was all about controlling her. But why did he completely leave? Why didn't he stay in at least part of the time? You know what I mean? So that she had a refuge to go to. Why did he just completely vanish?
I mean, probably
maybe because the mom was batshit crazy. I don't.
Yeah, probably not to be around the mom at all because
and the daughter, and Phoebe's character.
But if
was
they
grown
got
up
a
and moved
divorce, you got to figure he would have had some visitation rights.
If you want,
well, but she was grown up then, or during the present day.
He clearly saw that there was danger leaving her with the wife.
Well, I mean, I think once because I don't know when did Fred pretty much left, or had to be, kind of shut out when right after he left, right?
When the mom threatened to get rid of the box.
Right. So, and then he had left right then and there. Like, that was after, he was saying goodbye to her or whatever and stuff. So, I think,
I wish it had been fleshed out a little bit more.
I do too, because I kind of liked the father a lot.
Yeah, he seemed to understand her a little bit.
But see, and you talked about earlier that she understood she understood Drop Dead Fred, right? So when she would be a perfect stepmother for that other girl. So maybe she'd be the, stepmother that, she never got from her father.
Right, and you figure the father understood her but had to go. Mickey as a kid understood her but had to go.
Right.
The only other person who understood her was Drop Dead Fred, and he got boxed up. So she was totally alone at that point.
That's why she was what she was.
That's why she became that doormat.
Yeah, and then because a lot of the theme of this movie is friendship and stuff and how important friends are, because even at the end when the mom's like, what am I going to do without you, right? And she was like, get a friend.
Because that's really what her thing was all about, is she didn't want to be alone.
But she put that onto the daughter too, and the daughter started saying, I don't want to be alone. Mm-hmm. And then I swear to God,
Drop Dead Fred
is around. Woo-hoo. Oh my God, this is really kind of creepy. Rick Mayall is here.
Yay!
The spirit of Rick Mayall is
dishes, relationships, wind. The guy breaks everything.
That's great.
Yes, but wow, he's here today. So welcome, Rick.
One of my favorite lines. There are a lot of great lines in this movie. One of my favorite is when he's, she's kind of back with Charles, Tim Matheson. He was a great sleazy character, by the way. And they're on the couch, and he's observing her and saying, "Hey, that's not how the pigeons do it. He's supposed to sit on your head and peck you." It's just it's such a great child's point of view of sex. It's just so funny.
There's an alternate ending on here.
Yeah. I know. I want to see
check
it.
That out.
Haven't seen it.
I know you usually go over the stuff. That one featurette, that sounds interesting. It says the mega bitch speaks out.
Yes.
Interview with the actress.
That's great.
You're funny because when you went to the restroom, that's what he was looking at, and he was saying the exact stuff that you're pointing out right now.
That's the juicy stuff.
Yeah,
because it's just that's a great title for a featurette. Because
Mega Bitch Returns.
And as I recall, I remember online a few years ago looking up this movie on YouTube, and I remember running into some interviews with Marsha Mason and with Phoebe Cates, and I think maybe Rick Mayall, I don't remember. Maybe it was Tim Matheson, I don't recall. But they talked about how much fun they had making this film.
I guarantee you the little girl who played her as a child, Ashley Peldon, I think it was Ashley. Yeah, Ashley Peldon. She did such a great job. She had so much fun. She was
so sweet.
Yeah, you could tell she was having fun. Like she just it was like having a friend that that will let you do whatever you wanted to do, and stuff like that. Which in the adult world, you can't do that. You can't just wreck somebody's boat.
No.
You can't just put poo all over somebody's stuff because somebody's going to have to clean that up. And as a child, you can sort of get away with that. You might get grounded, but you do that. They're not going to make you, unless you're Cinderella, which they did mention too.
They did mention
that. But unless you're Cinderella, they're not going to make you clean up after you. They're going to send you to your room and they're going to have to clean up the poop, or whatever. So like it goes back to being a child with you being...
Which she was denied.
Yeah. Yeah, sort of, yeah, because she just, like, after Fred was gone, she was sort of forced to be more adult.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
grow up.
And by the way, I also want to mention Bridget Fonda was in there too. That was a really... I didn't notice that. I forgot about it. Yeah.
Annabelle.
Yeah, Annabelle.
Because we know Annabelle's name because fucking Tim Matheson says her name every 2 seconds.
I know.
I'm like...
His rationale with that, though, was crazy. Because he's like, he called her name out to Phoebe's character. And he's like, well,
isn't that better?
Isn't that better than me calling your name out over there? I'm like that you're saying you're cheating and it's okay.
Only a certain kind of douchebag guy would actually have the balls to say something.
Because I think he was thinking he could confuse her, which he did. Yeah, he did confuse her. Because she accepted
because
it.
That's why he liked her, is the fact that she was a doormat and was
control.
mousy, and he wasn't interested at her at all until she came out and got the haircut and dressed all sexy and all. He's like, oh, yeah, that's right.
The ever-evolving hair, because it was like long, then it got a little bit shorter, then it got angled, and because all the different things that happened.
She looked great in all of them.
Yeah, then she had the wet hair look the one time. And
Phoebe Cates, glorious in this movie.
Yeah. So
absolutely glorious.
The one that played the girl, I wasn't aware of Ashley Pelton, but did you see what else she's been in?
She's been in a few things as well. I mean, very, very recognizable face.
It's a Ghost World.
She was in Ghost World.
Yeah, so I was like, I know we did that on.
That's one of my favorite movies.
We did that on Criterion.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Yep, you guys did. I wasn't there for that. I was in L.A.
Yeah, so it's yeah. So how many times have you seen this movie? You think?
I saw it more like 25 years ago, but it's been a while because I didn't have a copy of it because you couldn't get a copy of it.
You have to navigate some of those sites to find versions.
Well, I couldn't even find it there.
Wow.
You couldn't find it in your Russian sketchy porn site?
No.
Well, being that it was Polygram, and it sounds like it might have been distributed by New Line at the time, and now it's Universal for this. Or maybe since this is European, maybe that's what Universal has the rights over there.
I mean, maybe it's on Tubi. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe it just had trouble.
No, it's not. You can rent it for $5.99 or something.
I've seen it on one of the streamers over the past year somewhere.
I think it might have been on Tubi at one point.
But even when it was on DVD, it was a hard physical copy media to find. It was difficult.
No.
And I couldn't find it, and it was on my list of movies that I hunt for every now and again just to make sure stuff hasn't
now you don't have
popped up. Right. So when I saw it, I was like, gimme. I probably didn't even notice that it was a foreign distribution.
No, you obviously did it because you didn't know.
Because I wanted it. I was like, oh my God.
We were a little worried.
Yeah,
folks.
we looked at the box and it was like, there's that. That's a rating 12. That's the other one of the other countries'
another region.
rating.
But it worked.
It worked. I don't know
Drop
how.
Dead Fred helped us out.
Because it does say Region B on the back.
Yeah.
So I'm like, Arr.
That's what in the intro. Remember when we were doing the intro here, and it was like, I don't know. I guess we may find out.
He's like, don't worry about it, snot face. I'll make it work.
Oh, Rick Mayall's here, man.
Yeah.
He is. He's causing problems. He thinks it's funny. He's putting snot all over us so we don't even know it. I mean,
I'm trying.
Romance.
Did he do anything outside of Young Ones and this? I
don't think so.
I think he's done a few things. They were smaller. They were more independent stuff at the time.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I don't know. I guess they figured most American, studio folks kind of saw him as a one-trick pony, that this was all he could do, and it was kind of his shtick. Mm-hmm. But it fit perfectly for this particular character.
Yeah, it's so funny because of all the people that kind of came sort of maybe before or after him, like I mentioned Hope Sirius. There's Pauly Shore. There's all these actors who sort of
Jim
had
Carrey.
Jim Carrey's different because Jim Carrey came from sketch comedy already.
Well, that's where those all guys all were comedians.
Jim Carrey and Robin Williams does that too. But I mean, he did that too. But he also did a very serious side. But he would do the body cartoonish humor as well. I mean, he might be the best.
But you notice there's a lot of times too where he's very, where he stops being a clown long enough to comfort her or to make her feel good or to sympathize with her. He's not a complete jerk,
He just didn't want her to drink those or to eat to take those green pills.
He didn't
or
want
whatever.
that. That's for sure.
Because that was the end of him.
Yeah, well, because he also knows that he can't help her
Yeah.
if he goes away.
So
Yeah.
so it's just his motivation might have been in the right place, but his way of going about it was quite destructive.
It was interesting that like she had to like go inside of him in order to go into that one house to kind of figure out that she needed to find her inner child, which she did. And once she found her inner child, that's where she got
And not only
happiness.
find her, but you see that the kid was taped up just like the box was.
Yep.
Taped up to the bed that the mother did, and she had to free her.
So I mean, I guess it's like metaphors and whatnot. I mean, it's not literal, kind of thing, but it's dream, it's stuff you can do in the movies, and I like that kind of stuff. But it's not real, or whatever. It's just all still her imagination and everything. But she had to figure it out. She had to figure out what was wrong with her, and what was wrong with her was her childhood was taped up once Fred got taped up, so
Right.
she couldn't.
And that's why she's the perfect person for this next little girl who clearly probably was what caused the divorce. Because remember, Mickey's talking about he got divorced, and she's like, "Oh, I don't want to hear that word." Well,
Yeah.
most likely because the mother either couldn't stand it or probably caused whatever was going on. But now she understands because she went through it herself.
I think on repeated viewings that meeting with them two at the beginning would take on a little bit more depth and stuff like that because we didn't. I mean, it was just an introduction of the character at the time, but now knowing where they end up, it's like it could probably give some good backstory. To that.
I almost
He
wish
was
that
a little bit of a Mary Sue. That's the other issue about him, in that he was just a little too nice. A little too conveniently open-ended.
But wasn't she?
no,
Not so much.
So he was. You're talking about Mickey, right?
Yeah.
I loved Mickey from the very beginning. I loved it when she saw him at the. Was that the courthouse or?
Yeah, because she had dropped her box of all of her.
Yeah. And
Works
she asked her if he worked there, and he said no, and he goes, neither do I, because she just got fired. But no, I like that because they had that connection. They knew who they. Oh my God, I haven't seen you since we were like 5, or whatever. And then she, they go out on that date, and that date is so wacky and crazy. But he loves it. He starts playing.
Because he's like, I'll throw food.
Yeah,
He's
he
like
starts
trying to fit
acting
in.
like the child again,
Yeah.
so she brings out the child in him, and like he, went over to her house almost like, when they were kids, you go over to your friend's house and knock on the door.
Another one of those movies where I see a character, I fall in love with this character, I'm like, just be nice to her. That's all you have to do is be nice to this person, and everything will work out.
And she does.
Yeah, he does, but most of the time they don't, and it pisses me off.
Well, there you go. That's why this works, because he's
It's a little bit of the same in Frances Ha, where she isn't quite as crazy, but she's got that kind of eccentric wackiness to her, and these other people can't deal with it. I'm like, just be nice to her. Just accept her for who she is, and let her do her crazy stuff. She's fine. She'll be great. Just let her be herself. And that's what I like,
Well, that's you anyway.
Yeah,
you want
yeah.
people to just let you alone and let you be
and
yourself.
I'm very accepting of other people, and that's the way it should be. I mean, as long as you're not, killing people or stomping on animals or stuff like that, we don't want that. But
I mean, there's a
eccentricities,
lot of other things other than that people do that's
but-
messed up. But
being your authentic self, even if it's different than what society thinks you should be. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I understand that. I have been there myself.
no, but okay, so you like the trolling stuff. You like him doing all the crazy,
He's a great troll.
obnoxious, nasty stuff that he would do, like making mud pies and shit like that. But most people, I hate to say it, most people would just find this obnoxious and not want to deal with this kind of person. And so I can see why a lot of people wouldn't like this movie, like critics, because even though maybe she's being her authentic self. He's obviously just being himself. He's like he only knows how to be himself. He's a kid. An adult man trapped as a kid or whatever. Because he still acts like he's 5 or whatever. He's whatever age.
Not even 5, like a super obnoxious 5.
Yeah, super obnoxious 5. He will do all the trouble stuff. He's a problem child.
And that translates over to her.
Right, and he makes her do all that stuff, and she kind of gets all the blame of it, because even if she says Drop Dead Fred did it,
Nobody believes
nobody is going to accept her friend, who is accepting of her as herself.
And he's also smart enough to see that it's Phoebe Cates, who's gorgeous, and okay, you make some room for someone like that. For someone who's that extraordinary, you make some adjustments.
And I think you built. We've talked about goodwill in characters and stuff like that, or just in the story. But I remember you pointed out watching, like, how is he actually doing any of this? If he can't if he's basically a ghost in a lot of ways. I mean, it's like, how's he actually
break things?
Actually, he's physically doing stuff, and it's
right.
like,
Well, it's because it's her.
She's
no,
she's not.
He spread the crap around the kitchen.
She was just standing there.
But we're seeing that through her eyes. She's not going to see herself doing it. That's her point of view.
I don't think so. It almost feels almost ghost-like.
So what you're saying is Phoebe Cates' character.
Yeah.
Spread poop all over the place.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that's a whole different way of looking at it.
It's just like those moments when we see Fred physically taking her hand and doing that shit. That's what he's doing. It's just that we don't see it every single scene.
I understand where you're going, where you're trying to go with that. It's just I didn't watch it that way.
It's a little inconsistent, and that's another issue that I have with it. And I think some people got confused on that as well. But I think that's really what it is. Now, again, if you go and read the commentary or listen to the commentary, maybe there's something different. But I'm willing to bet that's what it is.
See, that's kind of how I viewed it, because I thought about that too. I thought maybe we're just not seeing, we don't see the mom come down and see her spreading the poop, but she is spreading the poop. I don't think so, because I kept seeing it and I kept going, okay, I don't think she broke the window. I don't think she did all these things. I think Drop Dead Fred did. And so she gets all the blame put on her, because nobody's going to believe that.
You know how I know she broke the window? Because later on, and she's like, I love the sound of breaking things after he breaks it. I definitely think she did it.
Didn't he failed to break the window.
Right, she did.
So I don't know. I mean, that'd be interesting to know more of, and then, in repeated viewing, is it consistent?
It's definitely worth watching several times.
Or is it inconsistent? And there goes another.
I told you, by the end of this whole thing, all of them are going to be gone.
And to answer your
question,
how
dare I say that this was inconsistent? Because I just got bonked on the head for that.
I do think it is inconsistent. I do think that. I think that's part of the problem why some people had an issue with it.
I'm waiting for the last one to go.
Yeah,
said that.
Good. Go ahead.
You're saying something negative about Rick Mayhall and Drop Dead Fred.
Well, Ate DeJong is who would be getting the criticism for that.
Maybe. I mean, the writers, I would also think.
Yeah, probably. Well, it's up to the director to make sure that whatever is written is shown clearly.
And the producers to make sure that the director is making sure that,
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'd be interested to hear what they said it meant they intended it to be, and if they did say whatever they intended, does that fly? Because it just doesn't. Like I said, I haven't seen this movie in 30-some years, so it was almost a fresh viewing for me because I didn't really remember.
Yeah,
it's a bit of a lost film. Yeah. A lot of people I've talked to about it, they're like, oh, I remember that existed, but I haven't seen it in 30 years or whatever. Or I never got a chance to see it, and nobody talks about it. Well,
that's another reason I'm creating that Hollywood's Hidden Gems, is because finding movies like this would be more of a knockbuster, I think, because it should have done better in the box office and didn't, but everybody loves it.
If they put it out Memorial Day weekend, they were expecting some bank, I think.
Yeah.
So.
Most likely.
Yeah, this would be, they were trying this to be a blockbuster, and it just wasn't. But it led to movies like there's a Ryan Reynolds movie, If, about the imaginary friends. I don't think that movie might have existed had Drop Dead Fred not probably been a part of people's. I bet Ryan Reynolds used to love this movie. I'd love to hear what she has to say about that.
He's the star of it, but Krasinski's the one that created that.
That's true.
So it'd be Krasinski's.
And the other thing too is it's not like this is the first movie about imaginary friends.
Yeah.
I mean, all Winnie the Pooh is a perfect example of all that. But the thing is that they tend to be very saccharine and very supportive and very, nobody's your friend, but I'll be your friend. He's the first one to really be super obnoxious and be like, just be yourself and have a fun old time and go nuts with it.
Wait, Winnie the Pooh was an imaginary friend?
Yes, I believe so.
I don't think so. I never thought so.
They were his stuffed animals. They didn't really come to life.
No, but I just always thought they were just like there was a bear.
They sure did in Blood and Honey.
Yeah, that's true. You watch the second one. The second one's actually pretty good.
Okay, I just never saw it like that.
There was the other one that came out last year, the other horror one, Imaginary.
Yeah.
Which was...
I've heard pretty bad things about that one.
I never saw it.
But it's
Hollywood.
PG-13, I think, horror kind of stuff,
Yeah,
like Blumhouse, so it's just not...
It's not...
Blah.
It never even probably hit in your radar.
Let's do this great horror movie, but take out all the violence and gore and reason why
all
people see
stuff.
horror movies.
Yeah.
Well, it's okay for a horror movie to be PG-13.
Meh.
It is if the scares is not if the graphic stuff is not needed to be the scare. If it's more mental, it's fine to be PG-13. But if it's meant to be visual,
was a great PG-13.
if it's meant to be visual, it's a lot harder to be PG-13. It's not impossible, because to your point and stuff like that, it can be good at PG-13, but it's the rarity versus.
Don't like movies that feels like it's holding back. If you're gonna make a movie, go for it. Do the whole thing. Go all the way. Do a Drop Dead Fred. Don't
Drop
hold
Dead Fred
back.
went all the way for sure.
Absolutely.
They did stuff that I'm pretty sure
it didn't go R.
It didn't go R,
Yeah, so-
and I'm surprised about that. But
Yeah, it's a little. I think back then in 1991, things were a little looser. You know what I mean? I think there was a brighter line you had to cross to become an R.
like I said, there was a lot of the word bitch was used a lot in the movie, and I was surprised about that because I was like, kept thinking, is this PG-13? Like, shouldn't this be R? But once again, I guess it sort of works because of PG-13, because PG-13 is the middle between being the R-rated adult and being a kid's PG movie. I would not want to see a PG version.
I'm not sure kids are supposed to be PG movies. Then kids are supposed to be
G.
Yeah.
Well, what do you define a kid as?
PG-13 is really
Toddler G.
teenagers, 15-year-olds.
Kids to like 5 or 6 G.
But
when you start getting over 5 or 6,
and it's a different
PG
thing now because when I was a kid, it was a very different world.
Well, Jaws was PG.
Than what kids are today. Kids who are 10 years old today are a lot more savvy about life, for good or ill, than I was at 10 years old. I didn't know shit at 10 years old.
This was 10 years ago, but my niece, she was graduating like 5th or 6th grade at the time, and we went there to the graduation, and we were just listening outside the school while the other kids come out, and one of the kids come out and was like, I get my present now? And they're like, yes, here's your present, little Johnny. It opens up. I get my Grand Theft Auto. It's like, holy cow. This kid's like 10 years old and getting Grand Theft Auto. I was like, I'm an adult, and I sometimes don't think I should be playing it all the time.
These ratings are antiquated. They really need to be updated to modern times.
Well, PG-13 in 91.
Because, Kevin Smith did a movie, the 430 movie or whatever, and he had a fight with not fight, but he had a disagreement with the ratings board. They gave it an R, and he said, this is like one of the most... No, he wanted an R, but they gave him a PG-13. No, something... one of the other two. One of the two. God, I'm like messing up. But like they seriously wanted to give him something. He disagreed with them because I think that the problem being is that people who see Kevin, they gave it an R. And he wanted a PG-13. He was trying for a PG-13 movie, right? He had done Jersey Girl, that was PG-13 and whatnot. And he expected that one to be, and they said, no, it's an R. And it was because the guy said that he would feel uncomfortable, the guy in the ratings, thing, said would uncomfortable watching a PG-13 movie with his daughter that had this kind of talk, this kind of like sexual talk and stuff like that.
That guy probably doesn't understand. His daughter's been talking like that for years.
Probably. And you know, and he even asked, would you be okay watching this with your 13-year-old if you had a 13-year-old daughter?
Kevin Smith's the wrong person
and he
to ask
goes,
that.
he said, yes, I would be. I would be
He cast-
completely okay
he
with
cast
that.
him under
And
it,
I'm
yeah.
sure he did watch rated R movies with Harley when she was 13 years old and
Yeah,
shit.
you can't go back to the early 70s when these things were invented.
Well, I'm thinking back when
and just roll with it.
Right.
Times have changed.
I mean, this
Times
is
have
early
definitely
90s,
changed.
so I mean, it was a different world, but at the same time, I was a little surprised this was PG-13, but I guess it didn't hit any of those. It might have pushed a little bit of thresholds, but it never crossed the line.
It's
I
very
guess.
different too, because back in the day, an R rating wasn't that big of a deal. It just let everybody know that there's going to be another level of violence and language and stuff like that. These days, it's like a kiss of death because nobody wants to market. Well, there's a bit of a backlash now, thankfully, with the Terrifier movies and such. But you know, they wouldn't finance R-rated films. They only wanted PG-13 so that they could get the teenage dollars because that's where they decided all the money was.
Well, and you've talked about this because you don't. That's where, yeah, that's definitely the big problem you have with Hollywood is that like there's no adult movies anymore. There's only movies for kids because parents aren't
Or
just
teens.
buying. Well, it's mainly kids too because family stuff. Because Marvel is for kids because they want to get the kids in there because the parents bring the kids. The kids bring. There's lots of kids. There's not just one ticket. If you made an adult movie, you'd only be getting 2 tickets, right? Or maybe just by yourself, 1 ticket. So movies like Nosferatu, which we all had just seen, or whatever, separately I might add, but we all saw it, we watched that. You watched that with the group. You watched that by yourself, right? You didn't see that with Amber. I watched that.
She would do that one.
Yeah, I don't think she would have.
Well, she loves vampire films, but that's
a little different.
And that's the internal fight that always goes on, where it's like, I'm the writer and or director, and I make this movie because I have this artistic vision that I want to get out there. I'm not making it to make you money.
But
you are. I'm there to make you get your money back that you invested, but that doesn't mean...
No, they want a return on investment and plus a profit.
Then they should sell drugs.
No, that's what Hollywood is.
I know! That's the problem!
The movie is the drug in that example.
Right, exactly. But see, what I'm saying is, you're arguing this stuff, but you're not seeing it from the understandable point of the studio.
Don't agree with it, and I dislike it, and it's turning against them.
But I think they are starting to put some R-rated stuff out. 'Cause some of the stuff I'm starting to see preview for going into the new year is more... There is more R-rated stuff that fits that lower mid-budget stuff. The problem is those movies aren't going to make huge banks, so you're not going to hear about it in the day-to-day life.
Okay.
Some of them are, though. I mean, some of them are making a lot more money than they expected.
Right.
Yeah, but it's not going to make...
And the ones that they thought were going to be big, like the Joker, fell apart.
Well, hold on.
Well, that
so,
was a whole different... The Joker's a beast upon itself.
I don't even want to get into that.
Exactly.
That's a whole another video.
We could have multiple videos on that.
That's a whole another video. But this...
We should have a Hollywood talk show. That's what we should do.
Well, at least at some point do some kind of video or something on our opinions on it.
Get John Ward on here, too.
Yeah, well, yeah, and I think that's going to be that would be a funny thing because I'm very pro Hollywood. You're anti Hollywood, and John's kind of a mixture.
He kind of goes back and forth.
He goes back and forth.
I think I'm sort of in the middle too, but I mean I can appreciate both, and that's where I try to get the best of both worlds.
But here's the thing, that's hermaphroditic porn, by the way. Best of both worlds. Just so you know.
Whoa.
Okay, then.
That was from Clerks.
That's usually me coming out of nowhere with a weird comment.
All right.
So you're basically telling me that I need to get the sketchy porn site address from him?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
All right.
There's
So
probably
anyway,
some of that
I'm about
on
to be
there.
doomed by the zero.
here's the thing. So Hollywood is, the biggest part of Hollywood is that, obviously they need to make money. So they need to figure out what to do to make money. So what they do is they buy movies that they know are going to make a profit. Now, these days, their movies aren't making anything. Their movies are bombing. And they're realizing this and seeing other movies, independent movie studios like A24.
A24 is a gold mine right now.
Yeah, right now they're doing really well. Blumhouse used to do well, and then they went Hollywood.
Well, they're too sequelitis based and stuff.
I know.
Right
They
now.
need to do a Get Out again, which is R. You need to do something that's going to get them, better again. But anyway, that's a whole other story too. It's a whole other video. But because I have a love-hate relationship with Blumhouse, which one of my friends was like, "You should never talk smack about Blumhouse. They'll never hire you."
I don't think it's not talk.
They'll never hire me anyway. So
well, I mean, there's talking smack, but then there's also a thing of just
being truthful,
and being honest about your feelings, but also respectful of the artists that are.
Yeah, no, like whatever they can make. They can keep making movies that bomb. Fine, do that. But if you want to make a good movie, I agree with Paul. You need to make more adult films, more films that don't just cater to kids, because people like Paul, or sometimes even you, might decide, I don't want to go see that Marvel movie because I'm just not happy with the way Marvel is. What is this movie over here?
Terrifier. What was the one? Substance.
The Substance.
Long Legs.
Long Legs.
These are
these are
Asriel.
horror. Imagine going back to also doing good war movies, good westerns. We haven't had
Good dramas.
Good
dramas. Adult
dramas. The problem, you stated like 2 or 3 great horror films. Yes, you did. The thing is, and I can speak firsthand, is I've seen probably 50 horror films in the past year in the theaters, and 30 to 35 of them were below average.
Sure.
Yes, there is, but it's like you're just waiting for that gold.
Right.
And that gold is the substance.
Well, the good thing is that there are several directors who are going to make their movies the way they want to do it anyway. Robert Eggers is going to make his film the way he's going to do it. Guillermo del Toro is going to make his movie the way he's going to do it.
They've paid their dues to where they got carte blanche to do that.
Robert Eggers has paid his dues. He just made a fantastic independent film.
Well, I mean, I can't watch The Witch because stuff like this will happen to me, like we talked
You
about
should.
before.
It's a
I want to see
film.
it, but I mean, I lost a PlayStation and a remote control.
Yeah,
out
I'm
of the
afraid
whole
of
thing.
you coming over with that.
So it's like, I mean, I'm hearing the signs. I steer clear of that, but I have watched his other films,
like The Lighthouse.
Yeah, The Lighthouse and
Northman.
and Nosferatu, which
The Witch is
Nosferatu
the
I
best
like.
one.
And I have no argument that it probably is. I don't know. Nosferatu's it's sitting on me really well, but they've done their thing. So it's like, I mean, some of these other younger directors and stuff like that, they have to sign on to the Hollywood system.
I mean, it's not like he made a bunch of crap for Hollywood first. He didn't.
Yeah, it's however The Witch got funded.
Look at Scott Derrickson. He did some really good indie horror films. Then he ended up working on Doctor Strange or whatever. And then when he tried to do Doctor Strange 2, he clashed with the studio, so they fired him. And he went to work back at Blumhouse and made The Black Phone, which did really, really well and everything.
It's a good film.
Yeah, Guillermo del Toro, did not have control over his first horror movie that he did for
Mimic.
Hollywood, Mimic.
Yeah.
And he's never liked it. In fact, there's supposed to be a director's release of that. And after that,
Release the director's cut.
He did indie stuff, and they were all fantastic.
Well, you know who...
But he found a niche that got the funding for the...
Coen brothers, I would argue, are the same.
Well, and you know what? I used to like Zack Snyder until he got into the DC world, and then I'm just like, I don't care for him anymore. And then he left the DC world, and now he's still doing the same crap, where he's making one movie, and then he's saying, "Oh well, there's a better director's cut coming."
Why didn't you just give us that?
Yeah, that's exactly what people are saying. We don't want a we don't want.
Because in his case, it's the director's cut's like twice as long.
Yeah, twice as long, and I don't want to watch the same movie like double. Like this is ridiculous. So like, it's one of those things where, and to go back to Drop Dead Fred, this movie was well done, perfectly, made exactly the way that the writers probably wanted to make it, the director wanted to make it, and and they were giving carte blanche to do whatever they wanted to do.
Smaller budget though,
and it didn't do $100 million.
Yeah,
in the
six,
box
7 million.
office.
Then's probably what, 15 to 20, 30 now.
Yeah, so I mean, but it's got a cult following.
Yeah.
People really like it.
I'm surprised that they haven't gone on to make other stuff. The director, I guess, it didn't seem like it had.
I'm surprised they haven't remade this movie. I know you don't want to hear that.
No.
But that's just something that I'm surprised
Well, I don't know if
because
they, I
it
don't
is.
think- I don't know if they could though. Really, I mean, it's like I don't with any sort of budget because this has a very niche audience, and that,
Well,
I'm not
right.
saying that in a negative way. It's just the
and
reality.
they're only going to remake things that they think that they can turn into franchises and keep milking people for money. That's
That and
what they're
that part is the business of the Hollywood structure, and that's fine for what it is.
And to go back to the Joker idea, the Joker was only supposed to be a one-off. It was supposed to be that one movie, and it did very, very well. And when movies do very, very well for studios, what do they say? Let's greenlight a sequel.
Well, the problem is, and I don't think there's anything wrong with them trying to get not only their investment back, but a profit. A profit is fine, but when you only make a movie for the sole purpose of making money, of making profit, and not caring about anything else, that's when I have a serious problem with it.
And Hollywood today, they were more about the shock, putting the message into the thing to make you
The message.
You
They
know,
only did
and
that
everything.
because they thought they were going to make more money doing it.
And it
Well,
backfired.
because those are what the investors wanted.
And
Right?
that backfired for the most
And
part.
now the investors are saying, "Oh shit, this isn't working. We need to stop doing this."
Well, it's like everything else. Whatever the fad is, if you grind it into the dust, people are going to get tired of it.
yeah.
And
Well,
that's what we had last couple of years with the whole Marvel and Star Wars and all that in the message woke stuff in the Disney films.
Or the Mary Sue's. That's what
It all hit ahead. Now it's like I'm seeing they're still churning out some of the slops coming out, but I think it's starting to turn.
Right.
I really think it's starting to turn. There's going to, and I mean, is Marvel going to be successful? That's to be determined, and I don't know.
The thing is, Marvel had a really good property that was doing great, that had all the stuff that the things that you're talking about, but wasn't shit. It was Jessica Jones. Jessica Jones ticked every single box for everything. She wasn't a Mary Sue. She was about as woke as you can get without big shoving it in your face and being one-dimensional about it. That was a great property. And what did they do? They bought it and shoved it in an envelope somewhere, and it's gone, and we'll never see it again.
You might see it. She's gonna probably pop up in the Daredevil
so.
world,
Yeah.
which you might not like because the Daredevil is now owned by Disney.
Yeah, well, it depends. If they stay true to who Jessica Jones was and who that world was, then
Then you might actually watch the Daredevil show.
that was a great show.
I actually like the Daredevil. I like Daredevil.
The
and
dark, gritty Marvel stuff that they were doing on TV was quite good, I thought.
I'm interested to see it just because I know Charlie Cox is back as Daredevil, so I'm thinking that
And Kristen Ritter. Who doesn't love Kristen Ritter? Come on.
she's gorgeous, and she's sweet. Like I
She
like
was
I like
she was
amazing.
she was in something that I watched in the past couple months. I can't think off the top of my head. what it
Breaking
was.
Bad.
Breaking Bad.
No, it was a film. She was.
She's just marvelous.
I think
Is she
she's-
related to Jason Ritter and John Ritter?
She's John Ritter's daughter.
John
Yeah,
Ritter's
well,
daughter. Awesome.
Yeah, she was in something. But I don't know if it'll be able. to
That's
track it
nice.
here or not.
So anyway, we got off the track a little
Yeah,
bit,
but
we got a little animated.
but I like that. I like that because sometimes I can make clips out of
Well,
these
the
things.
thing is, this is Film Freak, so it's like, yes, the genesis of this discussion is the movie, but Film Freaks in itself is about the love of film.
Plus, we are film freaks.
Yeah,
we love our movies.
We love our movies.
I especially love this movie. It's just, it kind of came at the right time for me, even if it wasn't the right time for everybody else. But I'm a little out of step with society anyhow. So
Just a bit.
yeah, just a bit.
Well, I mean, and it was the 90s or whatever. Were you really big on the movies that were coming out at that time?
Yeah.
So,
There was some good stuff.
Yeah.
in
So
them.
so when was the year that you went like you
Maybe
turned on
2000s.
Hollywood?
It's probably when
I mean,
Spider-Man came
I know
out.
you didn't truly turn on Hollywood. You know what I mean, but where you stepped away from Hollywood more so than the independent.
Well, to me, I mean, I recognized it in the late '80s. I mean, it was clear that the Jaws thing kind of broke Hollywood, where
Well,
now
Jaws.
every
It
movie had to
transitioned.
become a big fat popcorn movie that made a lot of dough.
Yeah, Jaws, and then Star Wars. Really,
Well,
just
I don't,
Because prior to that, the big movies were Godfather and stuff like that
which were adult.
adult.
but I still don't think that's what we hear on a national on what most people talk about is those 20 to 25 big budget films. But there's still dozens and dozens and dozens of smaller films that come out. It's not as good. That's the stuff that's changed over the years. But there's a lot of good stuff. But then there's the $50 million films
Well,
have been gone.
and the other thing
that's
too
the
is
problem.
remember we've lost a lot of production companies too. We've lost a lot of studios between the '80s and now that used to be out there that used to put out some of the more indie stuff or some of the things that took a few more chances but weren't totally independent.
Yeah.
They were kind of in the middle. A lot of those are gone.
Okay, yes. So mid movies. So my theory is if Hollywood wants to get sort of back to being, whatever, they can still make their popcorn movies because they're going to do that anyway, regardless, whatever. They're going to make their Marvel movies, they're going to make their Star Wars, they're going to make their DC stuff, whatever, right? And those are fine. Those are movies you are going to avoid. But movies like The Substance and The Bike Riders, which is I think R-rated adult movie and everything like
That's
that
that
did
movie
very
I'm
well.
missing. That bike rider, something
Yeah.
like that.
I
That
just
movie-
hope they back them.
Yeah.
So that was studio. That was a studio that put it out. I forgot which one, but what I'm thinking is that they started to sort of realize
I think it was
that they
Universal.
need to start doing that again. So I think this year, and I could be wrong, and this is just a prediction, but I think this year studios are going to start to sort of hopefully look at that and say, okay, let's make some $20 million movies. Now, they don't have to be $50 million because I think that's a little high. But they're not going to star Tom Cruise. They're not going to star Brad Pitt. They're not going to star these people. They're going to star somebody smaller, Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
But they have to
or-
take these movies and they have to market them as though they were marketing a popcorn movie and actually believe in them and don't just hang them out to dry for a week and then if it doesn't make $1 billion, pull them. They had that with Furiosa. Furiosa was a great film. It was very adult. There were a lot of people who were interested in it because they loved the Mad Max thing, but they did not push it and they just let it flop. They didn't put anything into it. And they pulled it, it was like a week? That was terrible.
Yeah,
When I was a kid,
Yeah.
movies could last for months
but
to allow it to gain its following.
But now
gain legs.
they
don't do that.
Then there was probably 100 or so movies a year that would get on 2,500 screens and stuff like that over a year. Now it's like 3-4 times that. So I mean, and there's so many more screens too. So stuff just doesn't have the chance to
Well,
do
and
it.
of course it's different too because $25 to go to the movies today versus
Well,
$6.
Those monthly passes are gold.
$6
me
bucks
and
when
him
I was
do.
a kid.
Me and him do like the monthly passes. Like he does the AMC, was it ticket or something ticket?
A-list, yeah.
A-list ticket, and then I do the Regal unlimited plan, so I can watch unlimited movies. I can't watch them I can't book 2 in the same day, or whatever.
Well,
but I can watch 2 in the day. I just have to watch it out. Of the
It's
first
only
week and
until
then
the
catch
last
up.
couple years that there's been more than one movie that came out in a year that I had any interest in.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
you're
I
not really
think-
the audience for a lot of these things.
I
now.
think that there's a lot more out there that you just might not be aware of, and I seek them out. I mean, that's why I was saying that's
I seek them out.
like Strange Darling when that came out. I was just like, whoa.
I seek them out too, but I have a different channel for that. Yeah. That's where a lot of my forgotten horror classics come out because these are movies that fit that niche for me.
Not Strange Darling. That did really well.
That don't. Yeah, well, that was
Nobody
different.
forgot about that. People talk about that all the time.
But there are other ones, usually a lot of foreign films
Yeah.
that just don't have an audience here, that don't get marketed here.
Well, that's
that
what
just
happened
get
with
forgotten here.
Nora only got a week play, and then it's come back for like one showing a day, and then that's a foreign back. But the thing is I go on YouTube and I'm always looking up new trailers, just trying, and I watch all trailers. I'm like, okay, let me see what's coming here. And every week I look, and a lot of these movies do only come and go and within a week on these really smaller films. but I get to see some stuff, and some of them are independent films. Like I'm seeing a lot of these smaller Shutter films and stuff like that. There's a lot of stuff, but there's a lot of junk. I saw one last week. It was absolutely garbage, and I was like, oh my god.
And what was the other one that just kind of got lost that we had earlier in the year, where I can't even think of the name of it. It was a female character who goes off and she's like a Frankenstein.
Lisa Frankenstein.
Lisa Frankenstein.
No, it wasn't that. It was before that.
That was Hollywood. Probably.
It was before that. I forget who the actress who was. I guess it was last year's, but yeah. I mean that was a really really good film that finally got some Hollywood's attention. It was the guy who did the Greek guy who made The Lobster and.
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
I know. Yeah, I'm just.
Yeah, I can't remember the damn name.
I know what you're talking about.
It's like, yeah.
It sucks getting old, people.
Yeah,
trust me.
He's gonna look it up. Look up The Lobster, and then you'll see the.
I saw Kristen Ritter, by the way. It was what I saw. It was Sonic 3. That's definitely.
Oh, she was in Sonic 3.
Yeah, she got a.
Hey, written by Hey Stop Stabbing Me and Gamebox 1.0, guys. I'll always.
Are you talking about
that.
Challengers?
No.
I was thinking of the Yorgo Lanthimos. Poor Things.
Poor Things. Yeah.
Well, that got Oscars talking.
Yeah.
I think
That's what I'm talking about.
I think she won, didn't she?
Yeah, and that was a really good, more adult-oriented movie that managed. And again, this is the guy who made The Lobster. Nobody watched that film
and the crazy thing
forever.
was his follow-up that came out this year. I think that was AMC had the air conditioning problems. Half their screens were shut down. But Kinds of Kindness never got played in our area. It was only on the other side, or that I wanted to see that. It's almost it's streaming within 2 weeks.
You know my feelings on The Lobster because I really fucking.
I liked it.
I didn't hate it, but it just bothered me.
It was cool. I enjoyed it.
I told them because I tried watching it on my own by myself and I couldn't do it. I watched about 10.
That's not even
minutes.
the weirdest movies that guy's put out.
Well, I like the Killing of a Sacred Deer. I thought that was really good. Mm-hmm. But that was weird too.
Yeah, I have to get in the right mindset because I want to see Kinds of Kindness now, but it's like $240 or something like that, and it's on streaming. So I missed the theater of it, but
no, we definitely are film freaks here, guys.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So this started out as a discussion about Drop Dead Fred, and it went into film.
I think that's why Rick got mad. Fred got mad. Well, we at least still got the 0 up there, so the 1-0. So
yeah, that sums us up.
Yeah,
a bunch of zeros.
Zero sum.
It's 1-0.
Yeah,
all right.
It's the O there.
Yes, maybe that was what he was trying to say. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Yeah, we're all gonna be haunted in our dreams tonight. And he's
he's
like, please come, Drop Dead Fred.
Oh, you're so happy because then you have to,
we're kindred spirits.
What? This is what's gonna happen. Fred's gonna come in, and Fred's gonna come to Paul and to start helping Paul out, and then Paul's gonna have something to blame when he does all the trolling and stuff. He's gonna be like, "But Drop Dead Fred did it."
Yeah, he's my Freddy, not your Freddy.
Yeah.
Will it be Drop Dead Fred, or will you call him something else?
So I wanted to also mention this. I forgot to mention this earlier. I was talking to Paul about it before the show. I think when we were going out to get Chinese food. The movie Imaginary Fiend that I wrote and directed for Scary Story Slumber Party had Ashley Sprague in it, Lindy Starr, and she. I asked her, or I was talking to her about her performance, and she said she was pretty much just being Fred, or whatever. She thought of it as Drop Dead Fred. And I've laughed at that, but now watching this movie, I see it. I can see more of.
I have not watched that. I need to see that.
You have seen it.
I have?
It's in Scary Story Slumber Party.
Oh, gosh,
it's the imaginary girl who yells at. Yells at Brittany Scalf and stuff, and kept
I have to
saying.
go back and watch it again.
Yeah, but she's she's very very. I guess she doesn't act like him necessarily. Doesn't put boogers in him and stuff. If she probably tried to do that, I probably would have told her no.
None of this.
I know she would have been like, oh, but I'm trying to mimic Drop Dead Fred. I'm like, yeah, it's not my movie. We're not remaking that movie.
But now you got a different view of Drop Dead Fred. So it's like
it
might not have fit that, but but now you have context for.
I know. I wouldn't have thought she was doing that. I would have thought she was just doing that, as herself, as what she thought the character would do. But no, but if she had done that, I would have told her no, just because it's not her character. That's Fred. She's not Fred. I didn't see it at that time or whatever. I never even thought of this movie as anything like that. In fact, I think I saw another movie another short film, and it was kind of similar that I mimicked, kind of, not stole, but, kind of homaged, or whatever. So, anywho.
Well, this episode dropped at Fred. He survived.
Yeah.
Did not get tore up by Fred.
Nope. Thank God, but, Fred's around, so just be careful with continuity monkeys.
Nah, they're buddies.
They're buddies?
Yeah.
Hopefully now they are.
Yeah.
All right.
You're waiting to see if that's going to fall.
I do. I keep looking at it. I keep going, oh my God, is that thing going to fall? It's still there. It's still holding on.
Thanks very much for joining us.
Just like you all, you're holding on.
Here on to Film Freaks, and please join us for the next episode.
Until then, everybody, have a good one.
Bye. Bye.